take a look around, assess the scene, take it all in, because we have entered the eclipse portal, and in a few weeks, life is going to shift and change, and not everything's going to be in the same place by the time we get to the other side. And some of us will be more in that fast lane than others. Let's pull up this lunar eclipse chart and dive in. And before we dig into it, I'm Catherine Urban. I'm an astrologer with over 16 years of astrological immersion, practice, and study. And I'm going to be taking everything I know about astrology to help us feel more confident about the pathways ahead during these uncertain times. And what times could be even more uncertain than eclipse season, truly. Something that we talk a lot about in the astrological community is the topic of fate versus free will. And one thing that we can all agree on is that there are some aspects of life that are predetermined, whether that's the family that you were born into, the country that you were born into, the body that you were born into. And then we also have some degree of free will, right? Like how we respond to things, how we show up, how we use the chart that we were born with, how we use the tools available to us. Some people will debate that, but we're just going to go with that for right now. But during eclipse season, it often feels like we are not in control of the car that we are driving. Sometimes God, Jesus, the universe takes the wheel, whatever you want to describe it as, the fates, and it sometimes feels like it's time for a new storyline. It's time for something new to take root. And so that's why things are moving rapidly. Obstacles instantly disappear. New obstacles instantly appear. Our perspective rapidly changes in a way that we can't unsee it. And we have no choice but to go in a new direction. So that's what's happening during eclipse season. And when you think about this phenomenon from a natural perspective, from a nature perspective, imagine being an ancient person and you have no idea that an eclipse is happening. Absolutely no idea. And all of a sudden the sun turns black or the moon turns red, blood red. And what that means is that God, like the gods are angry, the gods are pissed, like something bad is going to happen. And so eclipses do carry this sort of ominous but extremely powerful like essence to them. And when we think about like humans, we like to think like I'm in control of my destiny and I'll just pull myself up by the bootstraps and make something new of my life. And sometimes you're able to do that. But when we think about the forces of nature, this is one of those examples of nature having other plans, perhaps. We think the sun's going to rise and set every day in the way it normally does. But when the sun gets blotted out by the moon, it's not normal. So things behave abnormally. Life, the traditional rules do not apply during eclipse season. So here we are. We're officially there. We're officially in it. This is a total lunar eclipse in Pisces, total lunar eclipse. And this is going to be sort of hearkening back to a previous storyline that's been unfolding over the past year. So we had our first eclipse in Pisces in September of 2024. We had another eclipse in Virgo along the Pisces-Virgo axis in March, on March 14th. So this has been a storyline that's been developing. So for you on a personal level, I want you to look at where Pisces and Virgo fall in your chart, because this eclipse in particular, even though it is in Pisces, it's also very much talking to this Virgo story that is going on. So your Virgo house is also going to be really important here. So let's first talk about lunar eclipses. So lunar eclipses are going to bring things to light. They're going to show us something in a different way. Because this is a total solar eclipse, it's going to be full view, a little bit more high drama, a little bit more dramatic. Full moons bring things into fullness. bring things into full view. And that's what this eclipse is going to do. But the moon is spilled with red right now. And with it being total, that moon is going to totally disappear. And hopefully you get a chance to see this. I mean, we won't. This eclipse is taking place on September 7th, 2025, right around 2 p.m. Eastern time. So if you're in the US, that side of the world, you're probably not going to see this eclipse at all. Maybe you'll catch a little bit of it at sunset, depending on where you are. But on the other side of the world, you'll be blessed to be able to see this eclipse and perhaps see the moon completely black out, which is really fascinating. And some people don't recommend watching it because of the nature of the eclipses, but I am of the opinion that it's one of the most insane and cool natural phenomena we could witness. So why not let yourself have that experience? So anyhow, perspectives are going to change. And based on perspective changing, people are going to make rapid decisions. People are going to not be able to look at things the same way based on what this eclipse brings to light. This eclipse in the sign of Pisces is going to impact artists, healers, the medical profession, medical professionals, sea life, the ocean, and spiritual folks, spirituality. We think about Pisces as a water sign that strives to bring illumination to the inner dimensions. So whether that's a spiritual connection, something imaginative. So when we think about artists are producing an internal experience for us who are taking in that art. So we're looking at musicians as well. We're going to see musicians making the news and being impacted by this eclipse. So I would expect there to be some sort of like high drama with an artist of some kind, but as well as the medical professionals. In fact, right as we move into this eclipse portal, there's a lot of pressure on RFK right now, who is like the head of medicine basically in the United States, yet he doesn't have a medical degree. This eclipse is going to be squaring his Jupiter. He's got Jupiter in Gemini, and Jupiter in Gemini knows a little about a lot, but may not have like a singular expertise. And we don't have a time to chart for him, so we don't know what areas of life it's going to be impacting for him, but he will be a figure that we want to watch. Now, this eclipse is going to be ruled by Jupiter. Jupiter is in Cancer. Jupiter and the moon are actually in mutual reception here. So I do think that some good can come out of this eclipse. Eclipses are not all just like fire and brimstone and destruction. I've seen eclipses do really wonderful, really beautiful things for people. So whatever the insight is, it may be shocking, it may be a little startling, it may be like, oh my God, I never saw it like that before. But with this support from Jupiter, it could be quite positive for some of you experiencing this in a dramatic way personally. Jupiter in Cancer is all about protection. It's all about security, support, familial and friendship love. It's all about feeling supported and feeling connected to a human family of some kind, feeling like your needs can be met. So prayers going out to folks who are malnourished right now, people who are not feeling like they have enough sustenance, whether that is food, whether that is formula, whether that is even emotional nourishment. Like, because there's thinking about, like I'm of course thinking about what's happening in Gaza, but I'm also thinking about what's happening in the lives of my clients. What's missing for you? This lunation can bring a lot of illumination around what's missing and how much access you actually have to it. Like, I think this Jupiter in Cancer is going to say, here you go. Like, the realization that something's missing and the realization that you're supported. Thinking about this lunar eclipse in Pisces, the sign of faith, the sign of having a spiritual connection, the sign of feeling connected to something bigger than you, and Jupiter being the yes, Yes, you're being supported from the other realms, receiving different kinds of confirmation of like the path that you're on, how to feel sustained, how to feel nourished, how to ask for things that you need on a spiritual level. So I think that that could be really supportive for that. And I mean, we do see Jupiter coming into some extreme expressions in the sign of Cancer, particularly with its desire to protect and bearing witness to these like horrible ICE raids that are going on, just going into neighborhoods and snatching people without due process, people who don't have criminal records. It's not at all what people voted for. It's horrible what's going on. And I do see that continuing to be a concern with the square to Mars. I talked about this in our last forecast video, but very often these Mars-Jupiter squares are going to be sort of ideologically motivated like political acts, especially with Mars in Libra. So this is going to be like the threats to deploy the National Guard. I think we're going to definitely see a lot more of that within this eclipse portal, just based on this alone, with Jupiter ruling the lunation and Jupiter in overly protective. Jupiter is overly protective in Cancer. So it's like sometimes it's like the helicopter parent who it's like, you don't actually need that much supervision. You're overdoing it. You're giving them too much care, too much support, like support where it's not needed, right? And so looking at this Jupiter-Mars square, we're going to see some excessive force, some excessive sort of like crusade, like a spiritually or philosophically informed crusade around what needs to be protected. So we are going to see more of that, but also resistance. We're also going to see resistance and uprising and protest with that, which we would expect during eclipses anyway. We're going to expect social unrest during eclipse season. Now, this is going to get political here. And I'm sorry, I hate to break it to you guys, but astrology is political. And astrology is always going to comment on what's going on in the world. And it does not take a side. I do have a side. I do have a bias. And I think all astrologers do. And yeah, I mean, it's just like all the different people on TV that people watch, like whether you're watching Fox News or whether you're watching NPR, like everyone has a position. So if you're here just for the astrology and not the politics, I apologize. But so try to take this in as neutrally as possible, because what I'm talking about is just what I see. This is neutral, okay? But I do see Pisces. Pisces is Trump's sign of the year. He's in a Pisces ruled perfection year. It is his 8th house. And we're going to see an eclipse in his sign of the year in his 8th house. So this is going to be a really big moment for him. All this sort of speculation about, is he alive? Is he dead? And we know that he is alive. But this whole 8th house thing is it's going to perpetuate that line of questioning, I think, around his health. Because the 8th house can bring up topics related to end of life, but also chronic or terminal illnesses. So I think they're going to be bringing in deeper questioning there, in the same way that there was a lot of pressure put on Biden. The 8th house for Trump, it rules secrets, it rules fears, taxes, favors and debts, financial strategy, obviously endings, end of life topics, and as I said, fatal and chronic illnesses. So we can expect some significant developments related to those things for the president. Now, another thing, 15 degrees of Pisces is the exact degree of Jeffrey Epstein's Venus-Mars conjunction. He has a Venus-Mars conjunction in Pisces. Venus and Mars together can indicate tendencies towards sexual deviancy. And I see a lot of people with Venus Mars aspects, and it does not mean they're going to be like this guy. But what he represents is sort of one of the like worst case scenarios of this aspect. And this was pointed out to me from my friend Veronica Peretti. She sent this information my way. So based on that alone, I would say that with the nature of the lunar eclipse bringing things to light, like shocking things to light, I think that there's going to be bigger reveals around the Epstein cover up and things that are not being shared, even though they just released a major cache of documents our way. But yeah, we don't have Epstein's full chart either, so I don't have like a full scope on his natal chart, but we do see that Venus Mars, like that's definitely playing into the way he lived his life. And obviously he embodied that configuration in a most extreme and harmful capacity. So please don't take it to heart if you have that kind of connotation. Again, fate versus free will. Some people do different things with their charts. But that eclipse on that point in his chart is absolutely going to bring, it's not going to quiet this topic at all. It's not going to quiet it in any way. So moving right along here, we're looking at the Sun and Mercury. And we're looking at the Sun and Mercury specifically on September 10th. September 10th and 11th, both the Sun and Mercury are going to traverse the South Node. This is always a big moment during eclipse season when the Sun crosses the South Node. This is where we're going to see major events take place that sort of define and flesh out what this eclipse season is really going to be about. And you see that happening on September 10th, followed by Mercury. Very often when we see the Sun on the South Node, we're going to see notable figures, drama happening with notable figures, namely world leaders or celebrities. We talked about all the different ways that these types of figures could be important with the lunar eclipse in Pisces. And this is going to be a big moment for that because the South Node has to do with diminishment, lessening of vitality, or something sort of chopping them down a little bit. So we're going to see a big story. With Mercury on the South Node, we're going to see a story trying to be quieted. We're going to see information trying to be suppressed. We're going to see technologies struggle, communication struggle. Something could be taken down. Like that would be like issues with Zoom, issues with the internet, issues with your normal traffic patterns. So it's going to sort of behave a little bit like a Mercury retrograde for that day where we're getting some frustrations with mercurial things. This could also be a scholar, a researcher, a teacher, someone in tech, also running into those issues, like I said, with someone really prominent and famous and well-known leader. So yeah, but there is going to be a benefit though. So there is a silver lining to whatever that sort of setback is going to be because there is a sextile with Jupiter. So if it's like an illness, there's a recovery. If everything gets shut down, it's like there's a backup plan. Jupiter is coming in to save the day with that. Now, moving ahead, we're going to look at September 13th, where we see Mercury's alignment in the heart of the Sun. This is, of course, Mercury cazimi, and this is happening on the South Node. And cazimis are always sort of new beginnings, seeds of possibility, new ideas quietly being germinated within. This is like a new moon for mercurial things. Mercury is moving direct in a sign it prefers to be in. So there's going to be some tremendous insights around things that you want to learn, ways in which you could get organized, ideas. And I want you to look at where your Virgo house is because that's a place where there's a lot of activity right now. We're going to see an eclipse in Virgo later in the month. So not too long after this. There's a lot of important things happening here. But So there's a seed of some new idea, some new vision for yourself, but it's happening quietly. And it's on the South Node. So it's like we're getting rid of something. We're getting rid of a mindset. We're letting ourselves off the hook with something. In Virgo, where we're trying to be really like on top of everything, perfectionistic. We're trying to run like a machine. We're trying to hit different milestones and things like that. We're letting ourselves off the hook perhaps on the South Node, saying, you know what, that doesn't need to happen this week or this year or ever. I can just let go of that. I don't need that anymore. So perhaps there's something coming to light from this Pisces eclipse that brings a ripple effect of insights that says, you know, I don't need to make that happen. I don't need to put that kind of pressure on myself. A lot of times the phrasing release what no longer serves you gets overused, but this is actually one where you can actually release something that no longer serves you, an idea, a routine, a concept of perfection or ideal. Let it go. Let it go. And notice sort of what seeds are being planted, because when Mercury makes its appearance, remember Mercury is invisible right now. So when Mercury makes its appearance on the 24th of September, it's going to be in Libra. So pay attention to what's going on in your Libra house, because whatever the idea is being planted in Virgo, it's sort of linking it to the sign next door. So there's an idea coming in, and it might be something that is more developed over the coming month as we get closer to that September 24th date, that reveal. So pay attention to that. The other thing that Mercury is doing, Mercury is very, very busy right now. Mercury is going to keep going. Mercury is moving extremely fast. Mercury is heading into an opposition with Saturn, which, if you haven't noticed, is already back in Pisces and is going to be hanging out here for about another 5 months until February. So what we have here is Mercury is going to be spending a few days in this harsh opposition with Saturn. Usually this is going to be news that sometimes it shows up quite literally as like, that was not the news I wanted to hear. I did not want to hear that. I did not want to get no for an answer. I do not want to be told to stop, to slow down, to wait. This is a delay of some kind. Remember, eclipses turn the world upside down. So there's some kind of delay, the need to sort of figure some things out before moving forward. We need to stop, wait till we have some more information. We need to assess. The only good thing that really comes out of Mercury Saturn is clarity. But in this opposition, it's like, I didn't want to know that. I didn't want to see that. But the truth is always good. Usually, it always sets us free, at least, hopefully. And the other thing is this can sometimes be the realization of, I need to focus. The pressure is on. I need to get in front of this task. I need to make a new plan. So while we're letting something go with that cazimi on the South Node, there's also a realization that maybe I need to be more disciplined about something. Like there's pressure there. There's pressure to concentrate on something. And this theme of necessity, Saturn saying like the time is of the essence, you should do this now, you should take care of this now. We're going to be working with that as we build up to this last eclipse on September 21st at 29 degrees Virgo in an opposition to Saturn. So I don't want to get too ahead. We'll save that one for next time. But that one is like time is of the essence. There's something that needs to be figured out now. We have to take care of this now. So that Mercury in opposition to Saturn is exact on the 17th. We're going to be feeling it even into the 18th, just before Mercury moves into Libra. Mercury is going to move into Libra. That degree is, of course, an equinox degree. So this is known as the world point. We've seen major global announcements occur with the Mercury on the world point. I think that the news of Queen Elizabeth's passing happened at this degree. So I don't know. I mean, Mercury is doing a lot right now, but it's not the ruler of the lunation yet. So we'll have to see. Mercury does have a lot of quieter stake in this lunation, but we'll just have to see. Sometimes we'll get big news happening at this degree. And the thing that could sort of perpetuate that is the opposition with Neptune, because Neptune is boundaryless. It's everywhere. The information is everywhere. It's like Pam and Tommy's video. You couldn't get it back. It was just everywhere. And so that's what this is. Something is going viral. Some video is going viral, information is going viral. This could be benefit for you if you're a creator. Use this to your advantage. This is a good day to go viral. But the energy is shifting with Mercury moving into Libra. Mercury is still moving very fast. It's not going to be in Libra for all that long. Let's see here. Yeah, just a couple of weeks. We really don't have a whole lot of time to work with this. But we still like Mercury in Libra. It may not be Mercury exalted in Virgo, where your brain is working like a supercomputer and you feel sharper than usual, but Mercury is still very skilled in the air sign of Libra. It holds triplicity rulership here. So we're going to be able to work on our people skills with Mercury and Libra. Writing, negotiating, seeing things from other people's point of view, speaking and listening, like really hearing what people are saying before we respond. Mercury in Libra is still really great for anything related to writing, content creation, organization, teaching, anything intellectual. So we're still going to benefit from that. But Mercury's opposition with Neptune is going to momentarily sort of diffuse the brain a little bit. Like this could be that moment where we're feeling really tired. Eclipses can knock people out energetically. It's very common for people to feel zapped just based on the shifting of the light coming to the planet and the stress of everything happening in the world, but also in our personal lives. This is a time when people are leaving, people are quitting, people are getting fired, people are getting promoted, people are moving. There's a lot of change afoot during eclipse season. So that could be exhausting for folks too, especially if that change is happening to you. Which, by the way, if you're a mutable ascendant, and you got a lot of mutable planets, you're going to be the most impacted by this eclipse season. So take the extra time for the rest if you need it. This is the perfect time for that with Mercury's opposition with Neptune. This is the time to purposely, intentionally check out, let yourself be spacey, listen to music, go for a walk, watch a movie, intentionally let your mind float, let your mind be receptive, let your mind be observant to take it in. Give your brain a break. Mercury in Libra, once it gets past Neptune, you can go back to doing your crossword puzzles, but on this day, it's really good to just let yourself be in the flow. It's really good for anything spiritual, intuitive, divinational. You get the point. So moving on, we've got, I'm going to back it up just a little bit to the 15th of September. We've got a nice little sextile between Venus and Mars. This is a great time to experiment with the way that you express yourself, to experiment in fashion or style. This is the go-ahead to change your hair. This is the go-ahead to paint your front door a wild color. Mars says to Venus, yeah, like take the risk, take the chance, because why the hell not? And I think that in relationships, this is just going to add a little bit of pleasant spice to the relationship. So take advantage of that. It's going to energize it some. Moving ahead, Venus is going to move into Virgo. Venus in Virgo. Venus is fallen in Virgo. So that's the disadvantage of Venus in Virgo, is that Venus experiences a certain level of insecurity in Virgo. So she tends to worry. Am I doing enough? Is my relationship good enough? Is my person doing enough for me? Am I lovable? And the fact is that Venus in Virgo is so awesome. Venus in Virgo is so perceptive of what other people need. Venus in Virgo takes notice of, how can I be of help to other people? Venus and Virgo placements just want to be of help. They want to use their cool skill set, their niche skill set, to be of service to other people. Remember, Virgo is ruled by Mercury. It's a really brainy sign. So there's special like talents and knowledge that Virgo has. And with Venus and Virgo, it's, I want to use those talents to improve other people's quality of life or daily experience. Like, I just want to do something kind or helpful for other people. So notice, those of you who are just experiencing this collectively, notice where those insecurities are arising. Try not to take it to heart, but say, what's actionable here? What can I do to show the people in my life that I really care for them, that I'm there for them? What's actionable? And same thing here, talking about Venus and its relationship to beauty. Like, there may be a little sense of insecurity that we're experiencing. Like, do I still like my clothes? Do I still like my hair? Do I still like my style? Do I still like these things? And so there may be a little bit of a questioning there. And maybe you don't have to rush into it. Maybe you want to ride it out and see how you feel. But Venus is in a square with Uranus. And so this could be the impulse to make a dramatic chop of your hair. This could be an impulse to make a dramatic and impulsive purchase, like shopping spree, just to kind of like make yourself feel more updated if that's how you're feeling. But where we really want to watch this is in relationships. We know that eclipses really stir the pot, and that can often have boomerang effects directly or indirectly into our interpersonal lives, into our relationships. And Venus in a square to Uranus could be a breaking point for some people. This could be a moment where it's saying, I deserve better. I put so much into our relationship and I'm not getting that back, or I still don't feel valued. And maybe that's an experience that can be worked through, but maybe not. The only way to find out is bringing it forward, bringing it up. And Mercury or Venus in a square to Uranus can be dramatic sort of disputes, breakdowns, breakthroughs, breakups. But it can also, it doesn't have to be a breakup. It can be a big breakthrough. Like, whoa, I did not realize you were feeling that way. Maybe there's something I need to do more, Venus and Virgo, to help you. So one of the biggest things here is that some people, not everyone obviously, but some people are going to be sort of reaching that breaking point of not feeling valued. And this can absolutely be a point of, I don't want to do it like this anymore. And if the other person is willing to work, this can be a moment of, all right, well, what if we do it this way? Big problem solving. So there's opportunities for big problem solving, reversals, pivots, and eye openers in relationships. Because ultimately, Uranus is a planet that says, we want us all to be fully expressed. We want us all to be free. And something I've been saying a lot to my partner, because we have 2 kids, and it's mostly us with our kids. We don't really have a ton of help. But what I often say is, I think we can all have our needs met today. And so Uranus is that like willingness to say, okay, how do we break the pattern? How do we break the routine? And how do we look at this from a different way? so that all of our needs can be met, so that all of us can feel more secure where we are. So that's what I have for you for this eclipse season. We will be reconvening again for the solar eclipse in Virgo at 29 degrees Virgo. So stay tuned, stay with me for that. And if you like what you hear, please subscribe, please like, please share. It's really going to help this channel grow and help me to better serve you with quality astrological education on a super regular basis. So thanks for tuning in with me today, and I hope that this lunar eclipse ultimately serves you in the highest. Be well, everyone. Bye. Thank you so much for tuning in with me today. For more astrology in your world, you can connect with me on all platforms at Astro Catherine. You can also find me at catherineurban.com, where you can book your next solar return or year ahead forecast. I'm also available for horary inquiries, electional forecasts, and chart rectification. And if you like what you see here, don't forget to like and subscribe. Till next time, bye.